Right, good place to start, I suppose. My name's Fred Felton, born in 1953 in Littlethorpe Maternity Hospital, which is just on the outskirts of the town here. My mum and dad got a brand new council house in Peterlee in 1951. So my dad moved down to be manager of the Bruff store, which is on Jordan Road, or used to be. He didn't stay there very long because he found he could make more money on the building sites. Peterlee was just a huge building site, you know? New houses, more rooms, inside toilets. So I brought up with them in Johnson Close in Peterlee. Went to local schools, Acreage schools, infants, juniors, and then Acreage Secondary Modern School. Left when I was 14 and a half because my dad got me he came in from work one Friday and he said, you don't need to go to school next week. I said, oh, I do, I've got me Northern Counties examinations. He says, you don't need them, I've got you an apprenticeship. But so did an apprenticeship with Hughes the Builders as a plumber. Didn't like it. Then served 4 years in the forces. Served in Northern Ireland, Canada, Germany. Still live in Peterlee. I've lived in other places, but came back to Peterlee. Because I always remember when I was on leave once, walked out of King's Cross Station, and the first thing I saw on the side of a double-decker bus was Peterlee is the place to be. And I thought, oh, there must be another Peterlee somewhere. And when I came home, I told my dad, and he said, oh, no, it's an advertising campaign. Never forget it. Oh, there must be another Peterlee somewhere. But I don't think there is. There used to be a nightclub in Peterlee called the Senate. And saw some fantastic groups there, musical groups. And then, of course, where I currently live, there's a pub round the corner which used to be called the Argus Butterfly. And music venue, it used to be in the 60s. Some really, Deep Purple. In fact, I believe Elton John was supposed to play there one time. It used to be called the Jazz and Folk Club. I was a little bit too young to go in there, but we used to hang around the stage door, if you like, and help them carry their equipment in and try and stay in there, But we always used to get caught out. One story that always triggers a memory was one of my neighbours' daughters said to her mum and dad one day, well, actually our parents said to her, who do you keep talking to in your bedroom? And she said, oh, there's a little girl visits me she's got a basket with a duck in. So they thought it was just a figment of imagination. Then the younger daughter took over her bedroom and she started saying the same. Obviously the parents thinking, oh, well, she's heard. Anyway, they were in an antique shop in Shotton Colliery one day, and there was a picture on the wall of a girl dressed in like Victorian era with a basket with a duck in. So they asked the owner of the antique shop, would you mind taking that picture down so we could have a look? And on the back, it had West Horden Farm, 1903 or something. So it was like, I still taught her father, he says, the hairs on the back of my neck still stand up. At the time, jazz bands became very popular. So Horden had one, Easington had one. Peterlee didn't. So culmination of that was a couple of jazz bands in Peterlee, but I was in the Peterlee Emeralds jazz band. Started playing the kazoo, and we used to practice using a hair comb wrapped in greaseproof paper, and then we actually got a kazoo. So marching band, so they taught you to march, to music. Drums, big bass drum, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And we got all over the northeast and even down into Yorkshire for what we would call a carnival day, where you'd go head to head in a jazz band marching and music competition. And the guy who taught us to march was ex-military. So there's a building here in Peterlee called the White House, or some people call it the Big House, which is on Eden Lane. And I was first taught the drums, to play the drums, by a guy called Robson. I still remember his name. And they wouldn't give us a drum to practice on, no, in case you split the skin. So at the time, the college was still going, and they used to use rubber, metal reinforced bands, if you like, on the conveyor belts. So they used to get sections of that, cut in squares, and we used to practice the drums on top of the table, yeah, till you get the rhythm and the beat and different tunes. And then they would give us a drum once we were competent, you know. My son and daughter, we used to live in Blackhall when they were first born. But when we moved back to Peterlee, there was an active Peterlee fun run every year. So in the magazine, Peterlee 75, there's a photograph of me and my son dressed as Noddy. And they were raising funds for charity as well at the same time. And it was a bit of fun. Yeah, it was competition, it was competitive. And that used to be held right outside the White House on Eden Lane. I can't remember the exact route. It was only a couple of miles around the Northeast Industrial Estate, maybe, and then back up. And we did that quite a few years running, actually. And there used to be hosts of people. People were running in fancy dress. And you see it now, don't you, in the Great North Run and the London Marathon? Well, Peterlee did it first, man.